Hi everyone, so my name is Cameron and we're going to be presenting our peer wellness program for Hayfield Secondary School, which has it's a school in Virginia with about 3,000 students. Okay, so what's the problem that we are trying to address with the peer wellness program? So there are various factors influenced by the pandemic that can cause mental health struggles in adolescents, especially those who are coming into a new school and may find it difficult to make friends following school closures. So according to the CDC, the pandemic has caused adolescents increased feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and uncertainty. And these feelings can impact adolescents' educational, psychological, and developmental success. And additionally, there has been a worsening of symptoms experienced prior to the pandemic. And this can partially be due to the feelings that I just mentioned, as well as the loss of in-person therapy. So what specifically about the pandemic causes these feelings in adolescents? The factors causing these increased feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and uncertainty include the lack or loss of routine, the closure of schools and other various activity centers, physical distancing or isolation from friends and peers, and the overall fear of getting sick or others around you getting sick with COVID. And while many of these factors, like school closures and activity center closures, are no longer being as strongly impacted by the pandemic as they were at the beginning, the effects they had on adolescents are still seen. And the effect that the pandemic has on adolescents' mental health depends on many factors, such as where the adolescent is in terms of their development, their educational status, and whether or not they have pre-existing mental health conditions, as well as their economic status.
So after interviewing and listening to the students at Hayfield, we were able to gather insight into how the pandemic has affected their lives and how the school responds to their mental health needs in relation to COVID-19. Students' lives have been impacted by the pandemic in a variety of ways. Firstly, there's been a decrease in social interaction with peers, teachers, and mental health professionals. And this decrease in social interaction has made forming relationships difficult for many students. The pandemic has also decreased their involvement in extracurricular activities, which for some students has been helpful for their mental health. Finally, students felt like there's been limited access to mental health resources at school, which makes it harder to navigate the transition back to in-person learning. Some students mentioned that they felt alone in the transition, and they voiced that they would feel better supported if guidance counselors were there to guide them along the way. So give them tips and advice on what to expect in the upcoming school year. So as a result, we have come up with an overarching problem that should be addressed at the school. Our point of view statement is that school counselors, psychologists, and social workers need to increase opportunities for interactions with mental health professionals because adolescents in their freshman year have less social interaction with mental health professionals during times of increased anxiety and depression due to COVID-19 and the start of high school. So what can we do about it? We've come up with the peer wellness program. The peer wellness program or also known as PWP. It is a program tailored specifically to the ninth grade students at Hayfield. It's run by school psychologists and counselors, and it enlists the help of the upperclassmen at the school. The program also aims to promote wellness in students as they navigate the challenges that come from COVID and the beginning of a somewhat abnormal school year.
Hayfield Secondary School already has a designated time for their program ACE, which stands for Activities, Class Support, and Enrichment. This takes place on the days that student has fourth periods for about 40 minutes. We are suggesting that they add our peer wellness program during that time to give more structure in addressing some of the issues that freshmen may face in particular.
So the main goals of our program is to create a safe environment for students. Ultimately, we're trying to create a place for students to share their feelings, thoughts, and struggles with peers, and help students build healthy and supportive friendships. Give students adaptive ways to deal with various stressors and emotions that arise from the COVID-19 pandemic and the start of high school, and increase engagement with on-site mental health professionals, so people like the school counselors and psychologists. And we hope that this program will help students become familiar with these resources and comfortable enough to seek them out when needed.
So the structure of this program will be 1 week it will be a workshop and 1 week it will be a support group. This one workshop and support group will take place every month during their 4th period time where they have ACE. The workshop is an interactive lesson plan. This is just where a mental health professional and some upperclassmen that will assist, engage with discussion with the students and start activities. This can be in forms of PowerPoints and just small little interactive things. This will also just take place during ACE during that 40 minutes. The support group is led by an upperclassman, either a junior or a senior. This is a big group discussion that will be supervised by the mental health professional. The discussion will be off topics that the students will be able to choose during their workshop. This will also take place during ACE.
So to help recruit upperclassmen, we have created an example flyer that you can see on the right that will be used to brief the students on what exactly the program is. And the goal is to recruit upperclassmen who are actually committed to helping other students. So to make sure that these people or these upperclassmen that are looking to join the program have the right intentions, there should be an informal interview conducted. And this will just allow the adults and professionals of the program to gauge the intentions of the upperclassmen that are wishing to volunteer and allow them to filter out students who wish to join the program solely for like alternative reasons that don't have to do with helping the underclassmen.
So now we'll go over a few mock lesson plans for the workshop and the support group. This is an example of one of the workshops. The topic will be making friends. So it will start off as like a small icebreaker and introductions for the first 5 minutes. And then 5 to 10 minutes, they will talk about what healthy friendships looks like. They can discuss what healthy friendships look like, unhealthy friendships, and how to be a good friend, and also demonstrate good communication. And then for the interactive portion of this workshop, there can be a little speed dating. This is just where students can come together for 1 to 2 minutes and just talk and just get to know each other and other people that are in their groups for the program. And also every month when they do workshops, they will have an exit ticket. This exit ticket purpose is just to give them a chance to say what topic they would like to talk about next for the next support group. The lesson plan for the support group, this is based off if a student chose anxiety. So before every big group discussion, they would just do a mood check. This allows the upperclassmen that's leading the discussion and also the mental health professionals to see where the students are and how they feel about this week and just the month. Then they will just talk about the topic a little bit, and this is when the leaders come in and just give their experience for the students. And then for the rest of the session, they would just go and have the big group discussion.
So when we were putting this together, we saw some potential challenges arising. And those two main challenges that we saw were how would we get the students to participate in these group sessions if they're quieter or just don't want to? And then how would we get the upperclassmen to be a part of the group and willingly? So in regards to the first question, the two things that we came up with, like providing snacks during these sessions so that students would come and like have a break and be able to just eat snacks and have conversations with their peers. And then we also talked about giving out stamp cards and providing an end of the year award of some sort for them. And then also that with these cards, they can suggest, they can have end cards that suggest future topics they'd want to hear discussed that could be prepared for future group sessions. And then for the upperclassmen, we wanted to offer some sort of incentive for them to volunteer. And this could be some sort of like volunteer hour certificate, or just like allowing it to count as volunteer hours for like a resume, something like that, that would want them to come and that they get something out of it, that would incentivize them to join as a, yeah. And then for the benefits of the joining the group, we wanted to, that we thought that it would be beneficial that students would be able to emerge with new relationships, because when you start your freshman year of high school, it can be really difficult to meet new people, especially if you don't already know people, like if you're coming from somewhere farther away, you've just transferred, it can be a lot more difficult to make those new relationships. So having a group like this where you are already meeting people, and a lot of different people with different backgrounds, can be very helpful. And then it'll also allow the students to have an appreciation for the in-house mental health professionals that are already there. In the interviews we conducted, some of the students expressed that it was difficult for them to get in contact with their counselors, which wasn't the counselor's fault. It was just the ratio of students to counselors is very lopsided. So it can be difficult for them to meet their counselors. So allowing them to have this sort of group thing where they're able to not necessarily have one-on-one time, but see that their counselors are there and willing to help, and providing some sort of group session for everybody would be very helpful. And then we also think that it would allow students to cope with the stressors of just starting their freshman year in high school, that this is just something that once you're starting in a new place, it can bring up a lot of stress, especially coming in from middle school or coming from different backgrounds. And it can bring up a lot of different stressors, just trying to figure out what to do. So this sort of group can bring some sort of alleviation to that.
Thank you.